Hi, y'all. Let me make sure my phone is plugged up before it goes dead on y'all. This is like a little bit of a new angle because I'm using a different tripod. I'm hoping that we don't have any issues with it. I'm actually so exhausted. I don't know. I feel like this has been like the most traveling year of my life, and my body cannot sustain it. Like, it's taken me a long time to bounce back from a lot of things. And then sometimes I feel like as soon as I bounce back from a trip, another trip is on the horizon. Hold up, I need to turn my phone brightness up. But we are going to be changing my bag, chit-chatting, answering questions, all of that fun stuff. And hopefully people will start to join soon and let me know if I'm having any internet issues, because I've been having internet issues all day. Thinking about it, if you're watching the replay back, I probably should have changed my shirt. I've turned this into a night shirt now, because I am not sure of his affiliations, and I didn't even realize that I still had it. I stole one of my sister's scrunchies. So I'm gonna use that for my shirt. Let me get all of my supplies out. Still haven't refilled my main supply bag back here. I will get around to it eventually. What happens is I tell myself, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this for content, I'm gonna do this for content, and then I never get around to doing it because I said I was gonna do it for content. Anyways, y'all. Barrier, this one actually isn't pre-cut, but I took it from a travel bag. So technically I cut it before traveling just in case they confiscate my scissors. We have a skin prep wipe, adhesive remover wipe, my barrier ring, and then my actual new ostomy pouch that is going to replace this old fugly one I have on. I use my heating pad a lot, and I was laying down and I was just gonna go to sleep, honestly. But I was noticing with the heating pad that I kept smelling my gas from my bag, which just means that this area right here is, there's some kind of leak forming around here, or there's a filter right here, a charcoal filter that helps with the odor. This is clogged up too much and it's no longer working. So it was time for it to come off, which was annoying because I am so tired and I was just trying to take like a pre-sleep nap, but it's whatever. I was cleaning my room and I found a pair of my favorite earrings again, and I'm so happy that I found them because I feel like they just kind of go with everything. I don't sleep in my earrings though. We're tying up my shirt to prepare for this bag change. I don't sleep in my earrings though, so a lot of times when I'm ready to go live, I'll just like grab my earrings because it's like one of the first things that I take off, like shoes, socks, sometimes bra, earrings coming out. I am also gonna use a mat today just because I don't know if my bag is going to go wild. I haven't eaten in a while, but then sometimes that'll like my stomach acid because I'm honestly kind of hungry, but I was like more tired than I was hungry. So I just went to sleep. Hi. And this will just help catch any fallout that happens, and then we'll get on my clothes because after I get off this live, I am going back to sleep. Sometimes, like when you've had a ostomy bag and you've had issues with like being lazy and not changing your bag when you need to, I've had like leaking issues when I've been sleeping. So now, depending on just how restless I am, my body won't let me sleep until I've either gone to like dump my bag or change the bag if I feel like it's having a leak around it. I'm getting the rest of my supplies that I don't have out from my supply bag. This is a wound cleanser spray. You don't have to use that, but I like using it. Some lubricating deodorant, adhesive remover spray, and then some gauze. This is like soft cotton gauze that I like that doesn't scratch at my skin. Hi, how are you guys doing? We're gonna prep my new bag first before we take off the old bag. The only thing I really do is put in this, I close the pouch first, and then I put in the lubricating deodorant. Thank you, I appreciate it. I just posted a new video actually today. The lubricating deodorant is in there. And I like to move that around so that it gets all over the bag. I could actually put a little bit more in. If you get around to watching it, let me know what you think. If it's your first time seeing me today, I just posted a video up on my page that is a recording of a session I got to do 2 weeks ago now, 2 or 3 weeks ago now, at an equity in GI session. The big conference is called Equity in GI, and it's hosted by Color of Gastrointestinal Illnesses. It's a big nonprofit corporation, or nonprofits corporations, I think. It's a big nonprofit that focuses on people of color with gastrointestinal illnesses, and I got to speak. And my session was on poetry and creative care and chronic illnesses. And there were some issues with the live stream, I know, because my mom was even having issues. So I decided to record the session, and I had my mic on connected to my camera. So I think the quality and everything came out pretty well. Pretty good, pretty well. I don't know, I am so exhausted. And I wanted to have it up more so for myself, because I think I get very nervous to share certain things like that. You would think I'm not. Hi, thank you so much for the super chat. He is starting off strong tonight. I think Jeremy is also still a member. Guys, if you're a member on my page, you don't get ads when I stream. And then eventually, when I have more time and I'm streaming a little bit more, because I started off streaming very heavy just over the summer. I already have a part-time job, and then I got a part-time internship, and then I was doing a lot of traveling for just different organizations and things that I'm a part of. So I had to take some time away from streaming. I used to stream at least twice a week. So now I stream at least once a week. And then as a part of my media club, which if anybody has any questions about that, we could talk about that later. A part of my media club, I do live watch parties every week. So yeah, that's that. And just a lot of times, again, even though a lot of the work I do, I'm a social media manager, and I do that for my job and my internship. Even though it's fairly low impact, it's still a lot of wear and tear on things like my hands, my eyeballs, some of my medications that I'm on give me really bad headaches, fatigue, etc. Especially when I have infusions. This is a barrier ring. If you guys have any questions about the supplies that I'm using, feel free to ask, because tonight I get I get mute when I'm tired, I get really chatty when I'm tired, or I get really giggly when I'm tired. It just depends on the company that I'm keeping. But this ring right here basically works like a little, almost like a plumbing system, where you put the putty around a pipe that's leaking to just help funnel the water through. It does the same thing, but instead it will be for poop. So the poop doesn't get in between my barrier and this, or just the poop has less interactions with my skin too, which can create irritation, almost like a diaper rash on your skin because you have poop on your skin. I'm tired tonight. Thank you. I'm tired tonight, but I'm okay. And I'm tired literally just from lack of sleep. I've been doing a lot, so I haven't been getting proper rest. And I woke up kind of early today too. For some reason, I woke up at 6. I don't have to be up and on my job until 9, but I was up at 6. And then I thought, Excuse me. And I was so tired last night that I didn't even take any of like my acid reflux medication or anything like that. I just went straight to sleep. Um, so yeah, I woke up at 6 and I didn't need to be up. So I read a little bit. I finished a book and I was like, okay, that book was so good. I have to start book 2 right away. So then I was up reading, even though I was super tired and wanted to go back to sleep. And then as soon as I went back to sleep, I had to like get up for something that my mom needed help with. Nope, I don't have any makeup on. Does it look like I have makeup on? Retouch is on if I put that on, but I don't do my lives for retouch. So no, I didn't have anything on. Sometimes those things automatically come on and I have to turn them off, but no. And then I just curve the inside of it because I make the hole of the ring a little bit smaller than the hole on the barrier, and I curve the inside in it. Hi, I'm from Virginia. So yeah, this is prepped. I don't have my mod tonight, so I'm just gonna tell everyone to basically keep it cute. Here's a trigger warning: if you don't want to see intestines, just do cute and leave. But if you are gonna stay around and you guys want to watch the whole process. Sorry, I'm tired. Then hit the double tap your screen and give me a little like to let me know that you're still here. Generally, it's cool. I ask questions. If it's a chiller live, everything is fine. But if we get to a point where things get kind of busy in the chat, a lot of people come in, and I don't like the way my like ratio looks to the amount of viewerships. I would like to keep things even, okay? Just to give you guys a little bit of spark. I like to keep things very even. But if I see that ratio is very, very off, and I have a lot of people watching that are not interacting with the live, then I will go into super chat only mode. We kind of gave you guys a sneak peek of what that is, but in super chat only mode, I don't turn anything off. You guys can still converse among yourselves, but I will only answer questions if they're super chatted to me. But that's only if things get super busy and I don't like the way this ratio looks. I don't like the way it looks right now. You guys should double tap the screen, but we're very calm tonight, so I'll let y'all slide a little bit. But I am gonna take off my bag now. I have to put on a fresh one, which I just prepped if you're just now coming in. And the little piece you guys are going to see coming out of my abdomen is my small intestine. I am not in any pain. It doesn't hurt. I don't need to have on gloves or be in a sterile environment to do this. And if other people come in and they ask that same question, feel free to answer that question for me, because it's one of the most common questions I get, and sometimes I just stop answering it, depending on how busy things get or how tired I am, honestly. So yeah, let's just get started. This is a wound cleanser spray. Again, this is an optional step. I just like it, especially when it's hot outside and your skin has just been sweating so much. Some people take bagless showers. I don't. I keep my bag on in the shower because it's water resistant. So other than me taking off my bag, it's not getting a whole lot of just like traditional cleaning under it. I have Crohn's disease. That's what happened. It's a gastrointestinal disease, and it's autoimmune, so it impacts your entire GI tract. And for me, my entire colon was inflamed and my rectum. So I went through like one operation that failed. It didn't work out for me. So now, May of last year, after my surgeries happened over a series of years. I started getting surgeries in January of 2022, and then I got my last surgery in May of last year, so May of 2024, and I've had 7 surgeries in that time. So in my last surgery, they removed this pseudo colon they made for me out of my small intestines. So I already had my actual colon and my rectum removed. So they removed this pseudo colon that they made for me. Pseudo colon is very vague, but that's the easiest way to explain it for people that are not in this world. And then they sewed up my butthole and they permanently placed my ostomy. There's a lot of people who get pregnant with ostomies. Personally, I don't want children. I'm not too young. The common ages to be diagnosed with inflammatory bowel disease, which is like the umbrella term for specific types of inflammatory bowel disease. I have Crohn's. There's ulcerative colitis. There's a lot of different categories of inflammatory bowel disease. But the common ages now, I think, are like between 13 and like your mid 30s to be diagnosed. It used to be diagnosed a lot later on in life. Scientists falsely believe that it used to impact only certain demographics of people and not Black people. But yeah, hi. If you're watching, make sure you double tap the screen and like. And if you've already done that, share the live and subscribe to my channel because I go live every week. And we have a new sub goal coming up, which I will tell you guys right now after I switch this out. My stoma is long today. I have like really active intestines, so my stoma likes to move around and like change shapes a lot. That is not red bodily fluid, guys. I ate a red velvet cupcake like 2 days in a row, and the red dyes come off on the bag. But as you can see, I told you guys this one was leaking. I smelled it a lot, and it was time for it to come off. But basically, a lot of people in the stoma world, which is what this little red piece is called, they name their stomas. And for me, I'm trying to encourage myself, one, to go live more like I used to, and two, to just get a little bit more interaction up on my page. So if we hit our sub goal, which I believe I put in the description of this video, I think it's 8K. If we hit that by mid-August, but I'm honestly thinking about changing it to late August just because I haven't been able to go live as much as I wanted to, I'm going to let you guys pick the name for my stoma. If we hit that goal, I think it's at 8K, which we got to 4K in like under 2 weeks when we got there. So I believe we can do it. It just starts with you guys liking, sharing, subscribing, engaging, all of that stuff. Thank you. I appreciate it. I do think it's very crucial. That's a big reason why I do this. A lot of people are embarrassed when they have inflammatory bowel disease in general because it's a disease that has to do with pooping and red bodily fluids, if you guys know the word I'm talking about. And a lot of people get embarrassed, but it's an autoimmune disease. It's not something that you cause. Sometimes I think truly people get more sympathy for diseases that they themselves cause than people with inflammatory bowel disease get. It doesn't have the same mortality rates as some of these other diseases have, but semantics. So a lot of people go through this disease alone by themselves, especially when they get ostomies. So a big part of my platform is just sharing my life with an ostomy to have more representation of Black women with ostomies, because for me personally, there wasn't a whole lot of people in my age group, which I think is a very different experience. There's a big difference between already having your career, already being married, already having kids, and then boom, you have to get a permanent ostomy for the rest of your life. Not to minimize any of the mental toll that takes, but that's a big difference between coming into your adulthood, your womanhood, your everythinghood, coming into your career, going through college with an ostomy. It's a little different. I got my first ostomy when I was 18. Yeah, I was 18. And then I've been sick since I was 16. So it's a little bit different. But exactly. Pride can kill, sharing is safety. I absolutely, see, told you guys that was going to happen. And I'm kind of dehydrated, so my poop is very loose, and I kind of felt that it was going to do that based on just how my stomach feels. I'm kind of queasy, honestly, and I thought it was from being hungry, but I think it's just because I'm just having an off day. I'm noticing now, just like as I'm evening out with my treatment and things, that when I don't give my body the proper rest, when I'm overworking myself, when I'm doing all of these things, I just feel really off. really off. See, my stomach's even changing sizes right now, but I think that's because it's gearing up to like poop. And my poop is so loose. Honestly, I've had periods where I've been like really, really ill with my ostomy, and it like literally will like spray. That doesn't happen. I know something is off. Something is not right with me if my ostomy is doing that. But there has been time. But if you came from my other lives before, you know, generally I don't have any issues. I just change my bag, do my little talking, and move on about my day. There is some adhesive around here. That's why I'm like rubbing. Because I see it and I don't want it to be there anymore. That's the only like downside sometimes to wearing one of these rings, is that sometimes depending on the heat, your body, etc., it can leave a lot of like excessive residue, which I mean, you can just wipe it off. It's not really like a huge deal. I would rather clean off residue of my skin than like to have the itchiness and irritation that comes when you have poop this high up in your GI tract, because it's a lot more acidic than poop that's traveling through your colon and things. That poop is it causes a lot of skin irritation. To make a long story short, I was about to get into like this long drawn out explanation, but it really doesn't call for all of that. You guys are very quiet tonight. I see that you guys are still here, but you're very quiet, which I guess I don't mind. That was an adhesive remover wipe. So again, it's to take off some of that excessive adhesive that my skin could have left over from the barrier part, this little part of my old bag. Like sugar on my tongue. Now we are going to use a skin barrier wipe. This just helps prep my skin for my new ostomy bag to go on. Nope. It's not really my focus right now. I don't even have the energy to go into that. It's not really my focus right now. No, I don't. I'm gonna let my skin dry a little bit. Is there any sensation in the external parts or this part that's hanging out right here? No. It doesn't have nerve endings. You don't have to be sorry. I am not sorry. That's the other thing too. I think a lot of people who are like able-bodied and don't have an ostomy, or they see somebody young with an ostomy, they have like this urge to apologize, which is not necessarily what I'm looking for. Sympathy is not it. I would rather you have awareness and have empathy, and when you encounter somebody else that has an ostomy, or you hear somebody talking about an ostomy, or you see an interaction or anything, you have the education to go into it and at least stand up for somebody, educate somebody, or just be cool with it and treat that person like a normal human being, because that's literally what they are. So yeah. But no, this is my small intestine for people that didn't catch that. It doesn't have any nerve endings, so I don't have any feeling in it. But if you want to know what it feels like the inside of your mouth. It's like that same texture. Let this dry for a couple more seconds. I wasn't too messy today either. Sometimes I'll have like wrappers and everything all over the sink, but it's not gonna be that much to clean up. Literally. Literally. Um, Literally. But it's great. It's kind of ironic because I would get less sympathy in like pre-surgery days before you could visibly tell that I was like ill, like before it really started to get really, really bad. Um, and I was doing a lot less. Like my life was a lot more bleak before my ostomy, and I was like actively suffering. But because it wasn't something that people could see, it's almost like their brain couldn't compute sometimes that I was like sick and like really going through things. So I definitely agree. I definitely agree. I literally have written essays about like the infantile. Oh my goodness, my brain will not allow me to say it. You guys know the word I'm talking about. Um, Especially when it comes to trying to like come into like femininity with an ostomy, and how that is just such like a polarizing thing because it's almost like the little dog and like puppy eyes come out when I'm like, oh yeah, I have Crohn's disease. I've had 7 surgeries in the past few years, and like, but I'm doing a lot better now. And I was like, well, and here's all the cool things that I do, or that I've been able to do because I'm not in pain anymore and not going to the bathroom upwards of 10 times a day anymore. So, yes, yes, yes. I could literally talk about that all night. It's a bit conundrum. I'm 22. Hi, how are you? I think I'm about to put my bag on. I think my skin is dry enough anyways. Just gonna tap this. Oh, sometimes I will give my skin what I like to call more airtime, but tonight I feel like my stoma. I wish you could see. I'm not. I feel that same way too. When I'm watching people that I really like, I'm just like, they're cooking, they're eating. Yes. That's why I've become like such a big fan of just like streaming and like watching them, because I feel like, that interaction happens in real time, which is really, really great. I will say, if you're interested in just how I've come to cope, a big part of it was writing, like outside of course, having a really good gastro team, having a really good surgeon, being in therapy. I was in therapy before I was sick, just as I think everyone could benefit from having a therapist. Um, so I had all those things working together, but there were still points in this journey where that really wasn't enough. I would sit in my therapist appointments and just literally like look at her, and she would look at me, and I'll be like, yeah, this sucks. And you would be an inhumane human to tell me at certain points that my life didn't suck. That was just the black and white. Like, you would be deeply delusional, and I probably would have like closed my computer screen if you were like, oh, your life doesn't suck. So there were certain times like that. And for me, I've always written my whole entire life. I started to write seriously in middle school, but I've always had notebooks, writing down stuff. I used to like, a lot of times it used to be music at first because I thought I was going to be a musician. And then I started writing plays when I really got into theater. And it slowly transitioned over to like poetry and prose and things like that. And I used to get into like creative essays. Maturation happens and you kind of find your path in life. But there was a period even throughout that where I'm like saying, yeah, hey, my life sucks. My therapist is like, yeah, your life sucks. Let's try something else. And I had told her, and she also had noticed that I hadn't been writing anymore. I could not write every time I literally, because I can't lie to myself when I write. That's the only thing about using writing as a means of processing. I cannot sit with myself and BS myself. I can't do that. And my actual life that I was living in that moment. So this was like freshly child. I remember like crying on my 19th birthday. So like this was like early on into the cycle of surgeries and ostomy and things like that. I stopped writing for like months because I was like, I already have to face this every day. I wake up and just try to like cope with being in pain and having surgeries and having things go wrong. I'm facing it every day. I don't want to continue to face it and process even more in my writing. And then I also wasn't in a space where I could kind of turn off my brain and write about frivolous things or fiction, which I can do, but in that moment I couldn't bring myself to do it. And it wasn't writer's block. I've had writer's block before. It wasn't that, it was something much, much deeper. And then coming on the other side of that and finding inspiration again, which a lot of it was through like the media that I was consuming. So finding inspiration again, writing again, and kind of using it again to now process everything, because I'm not in a place anymore where I'm at the lowest point of it. And even it is a little bit of an exaggeration. I did write things when I was at my lowest, but they are very, very painful even now to read back to, because again, writing is almost like a picture where it kind of captures that moment. And for, again, the emotions are always going to come through. When I see a picture and I remember the picture, I know exactly how I felt, probably exactly what I was doing, probably exactly what I was doing before that. I may remember the whole entire day. And writing is a little bit more detailed, especially the way that I write. So that was a long and drawn out way to how I got to around to wanting to share poetry with other people in chronic illness circles, not as like read a poetry book, but like, no, this can help you in your care. When things are hard, I've had points in my medical journey where they didn't know what was wrong. I couldn't get any medication to control pain, because the way pain management laws work is that they have to have something they're actively treating, and if they can't find anything, you don't get the medication. And there's certain loopholes with like certain other diagnoses, but for me, I didn't qualify for any of that stuff. So I'm gonna read your comment in a little bit, but coming around to that, I mean, like, okay, I now realize on the outside of it, and as I continue to process, because there are certain times where certain things that I thought I got through several years ago come back, because chronic illness and like the mental health toll of it all and the day-to-day toll of it all, and having something where one day you wake up fine, one day you wake up not so fine, it's always a cycle of grief, in my opinion. And still using writing as a mechanism to cope, and like knowing the feeling now when I need to just free write. I just feel like that's something that can be very, very useful. I truly do. And so I finally gathered my thoughts. I worked really closely with this anthropologist professor that I have. She's also a chronic illness warrior. So I worked really heavily with her over the past like 2 years to kind of develop what I wanted to say and put it into a presentation. And then I submitted it sometime last year to speak this year at a gastrointestinal conference, equity and gastrointestinal conference. And that's what the video that I just posted, probably like, an hour ago now. I just posted the recording of that session. Just to have like a reference to know like where I started. It will get better. I was super nervous, but again, I just believe in it so much. And I'm just like, even in its like first stage, even I'm more like a polished draft right now. It's kind of like what the presentation is. Even in this stage, I feel like it's still helpful and it can still get to somebody in some kind of way. I'm in school for writing, even though I do a lot of advocacy things in like the inflammatory bowel disease world. It still doesn't, a lot of my friends, they're going into like social work, or have a lot of friends going into medical school or medical adjacent fields. They directly get something from these advocacy things and being in these rooms with the doctors and everything. I directly and tying into my career, I don't. So being able to kind of tie it back around to writing and present it at these conferences is really great. Yeah, sometimes you have to take a full break, embrace lucky days, and let gratitude lead us and optimism naturally. Thank you. I appreciate it. I really appreciate it. And it's ironic because during that time where like I told you guys that I couldn't write, I would like document almost like I was going to the doctor like every 2 weeks. Like that's how like bad off I was. Sometimes going to the hospital, going to the doctor, going to the hospital the next week, and then going back to the doctor the same week I got out of the hospital. So it was rough. Um, but I remember like going back on my Instagram and like reading the captions and being like, oh, this is when I started writing again. It's really, really cool. So yeah, my new bag is on for the people that I lost talking about the writing process. It's generally pretty good. Sometimes if I feel like I need a little bit of extra assistance with like the stick, I'll get out like a mini blow dryer and just blow dry all around the bag to help. It's like glue. Like this glues where you just like heat activated a little bit, so it just helps it be a little bit more firm in its adhesion if you have a little bit more heat. So sometimes you can also just tuck the bag inside, and just that heat that it creates from being inside your pants is really good. Another thing, if you feel like, again, my bag is good now, it's not going to peel off in any capacity because around the edges is pretty secure, I would just go hop in the shower, and the heat from that will also help keep the bag on. But yeah, now I'm just cleaning up. So if you guys have any last minute questions, feel free to ask them. And if you liked this live, if you stuck around, double tap the screen and give me like a little like. I'd like to see how many people have been here for a while. I say it almost every week, but I need to desperately clean this bag. I mean, restock this bag. I think that's all. I usually have my supply, like your ostomy supply boxes come with trash bags. I am too lazy to like open a new supply box because I've used all the trash bags on one of them. So I've been using Ziploc bags. But I am about to wrap up. If you guys have time, I would highly love it if you go and check out the video I just posted. Anything you liked, anything you wish I would have expanded on in the video, please let me know because that feedback is so helpful. I will be back next week. Next Wednesday, I'll be doing a live watch party of The Summer I Turned Pretty episode 6, I believe. Season 3, episode 6. So if you're around, I always post those like as like a little reminder that I'm going live, or the scheduled live post always is out on my feed. So if you guys want to be around for that, make sure you're following me and have my notifications turned on so that you get those. But yeah, that's gonna be next Wednesday at 8, the watch party. And then I'll be back sometime next week between probably Wednesday or Thursday to change my bag again if anything doesn't happen over the weekend. I usually tell y'all if something happens over the weekend and things get pushed back, you guys won't be seeing me because I'm not gonna change my bag when I really don't have to, unless I have to do it for like content purposes or I really want a fresh bag, which I couldn't be bothered most days. But yeah, make sure you guys are being kind to yourselves, listening to your bodies, drinking water. Everybody just needs to drink more water, I think, as a collective group. You're doing the best that you can. You're doing the best that you can. Messing up my own outro. And you're gonna keep going. I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much. Bye.